My Adventures with Superman, aka Shonen Superman. So, I know I'm supposed to be doing more comic book reviews, but I've said in some videos a lot's going on, so those are a little bit more in depth. I'm going to try to see if I can get a couple done this weekend so I can upload them over the next week or two. Like I said, I'm working on stuff in the house and personal stuff. Is a lot going on. But anyway, back to the subject at hand. Now, I know a lot of people went crazy because they showed Superman have this one Sailor Moon sequence thing, even though in context, there's a reason for it. And just to let you know, so you have a little spoiler. It's not really a spoiler, but it's a informational thing. He does that once. And yes, things doing Sailor Moon. I know some people are like, why? I'm like, last time I checked, Sailor Moon was cool, but okay, whatever. So outside of that, it's really cool because it's like Superman is earning it. He is definitely got the heart and soul of Clark. They also explain why Superman, Lois, Jimmy all together, why they start together in turn. This is not Lois Lane, the reporter who's showing Smallville around. She's just been there a little bit longer, and they become friends. I like their relationships. I like how they played up a lot of things. It's very different this time around, especially with their Kryptonians and how they are. And this particular version, Superman doesn't really know about himself. And that's kind of like a mystery to go on to as well. The villains are a little different, yet they still are who they are. I thought that was really cool. I kind of like the interpretations. They do explain, I forgot what Earth this is, but they do actually explain that. But at its core, this is Superman. I like how they modernized Jimmy. It's actually quite funny, and Perry and stuff. And even though they keep doing this race swap with Jimmy, in this particular instance, even Lois looks a little different. Like, I'm not as harsh because they do also explain, spoiler again, but they do explain this isn't your typical Superman. They actually do kind of let you know. So, in that aspect. And when you watch it, you'll see it. But overall, he is Superman. His heart's in the right place. There's this moment where he sees something and his humanity shows. And it even had one of the villains kind of look at him different. I really liked how they did that. He's very human, and it's very cool to see him kind of muddle through his powers, because in this version, he seemed like he was a little bit scared. And there's also a thing to try to question he has certain features that look like Jonathan Kent from the comic books. And I'm very curious where they're going to go. The way they've done things, it's a little bit different. I personally think it was a good way to do it, and they paid homage to the past, but yet also did something to the future. But they're not trying to say, this is your new Superman forever. In this particular one, I think Superman and Lois and them are all in their early 20s, just graduated college 20s. And comparatively to Invincible as well, because some people are comparing Lois to Amber on certain avenues and things like that. I think Lois is a better handled character. I feel like every character in the show actually that's you're supposed to focus on has a lot of personality, a lot of humanity, and they feel like people. They feel like friends, and there's things he's already dealing with being Superman. The choice he made to why and stuff like that. So that's the best I can do without spoiling too much. I will say this, the fights are really cool. How him and Lois and Jimmy, how they all interact with each other is very interesting. They took some of the characters like Flip and things like that, and they switched them and did it, but admittedly, in this particular thing, it kind of worked. And I'm not really the biggest fan of race swapping, gender swapping, and swapping people's who they're attracted to and things like that. But if I can see where you did the change or why that change possibly happened, or you give me like some kind of explanation to say, hey, this isn't this is that, and they do reference these things, I think it was I don't think it was bad. I actually think it worked. It felt like it was modernized without patronizing you or telling you that you need diversity. Like, they just kind of did it and they didn't smack you over the head with it. It's just, this is what happens. And I personally think it was good. It worked for what they were doing. I think the action is great. I love his characterization. A very good characterization of Superman, and shows a lot of heart. I like the characterization of Lois. There's actually things that go on with Lois that I thought was very interesting. As well as there are things that go on with Jimmy, and just how the whole situation as a whole, it's just extremely interesting and very different. But each one of them go through their things, but the way he's like trying to learn his abilities, and he's trying to get stronger, and he's trying to do stuff, in a way it reminds you of a shonen. The look, the language, the way they interact with each other, the way they do stuff. I love the fact too that at each end of each episode, there's these pictures and you see different stuff, and even the end credits is almost like a little mini story, quick story in itself. Not like Young Justice, but like it shows you a couple of things to kind of give you an idea what's going on, especially when things get dire. So that's the best I could do. I say if you're a Superman fan, give it a shot. If you're honestly a anime fan or a shonen fan, give it a shot. I think it was really cool. Even the opening is like totally anime. You know what it reminds me of? I think it's the people who did She-Ra, but I didn't care to watch She-Ra. But this actually reminds me of Voltron, the newer Voltron. I liked what they did, and even for the stuff that they changed, it felt like it was a part of the story, not because they were trying to push something down your throat or something. It was more of, hey, in a modern take. And I do think there is a difference, even though I tell people I do not like this normally, and it always hits me a little. There's a difference between a modern take and then you trying to send the message, and then you changing up characters to the point where they're unrecognizable. Jimmy Olsen is still Jimmy Olsen. There's a few things here and there that they added, but at the core, he's still Jimmy Olsen. Lois is still Lois, the way she is and stuff like that, but at a younger time. Superman's still Superman. His parents are still his parents. Like, Perry White's still Perry White. I still felt like at their core, they were the characters. They didn't intrinsically change them or make them just a one-dimensional thing. So for me, this is a should buy. I definitely think you should check it out. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I would rate this as a should buy. Geek Protagonist, you stay safe, you stay healthy, you stay real. And I'll see you. And tell me what you think, if you watched it.